Today I'm going to show you how I decorated this chocolate peanut butter Easter cake. Come join me. So this is a quarter sheet chocolate cake and it's going to be decorated with mostly peanut butter icing. So I started with putting some peanut butter icing around the edges of this cake and in the center of the board to keep it from sliding as I'm decorating. So I put my cake onto the board and then I started to cover this cake. You'll notice my bag did spring a leak here. I do end up switching my bag after I covered the first part of this cake. After I got the first part covered, I started and I went again on top and around the sides of the cake. I'm trying to make this mostly smooth. This is going to be covered up with a drip ultimately. And once I get this all smooth, I am putting on a chocolate drip and I'm just going to smooth that all across the whole top, and I'm pushing it with my spatula over the sides of the whole cake. There's no rhyme or reason to the way that I'm pushing it over the side of the cake. I just want it to kind of go naturally over the side. And I'm going to add a bit more of this drip to the top and continue to push that down over the side across the whole cake. Once I have that down the sides the way that I want it to go, I'm just smoothing out the top so that it looks neat, and when I write on the top it looks nice and smooth. Next thing I'm doing is I'm doing a border around the entire bottom of the cake, and I'm alternating between pink, blue, purple, and peanut butter shells along the border. Of course, that takes quite long compared to doing just one single shell color border, but I thought that this would add some interesting dimension to the cake, since it is a chocolate peanut butter cake and they tend to be less colorful, but because it's Easter, I wanted it to be much more colorful. You'll see here occasionally some of that chocolate drip that went down to the board kind of comes out underneath these shells on the border, and so I'm just kind of wiping them away to make sure that they don't get in the way of my border. And I do have to say, I love the way that this turns out in the end. I do love this colorful look. You'll notice that I am using a paper towel to wipe off the tip in between these because it was getting a little bit messy in between with that chocolate drip, and then of course touching the color before and after each one of these shells. And I was also quite surprised that it lined up exactly in the alternating colors, so I didn't have to try to figure out how to make it look like it was lining up the way it was supposed to. All right, now that I have that done, I'm going to do just some piping on top of the cake. I'm using the 1M, 2D, 6B, and just kind of randomly putting different piping on the top of the cake. Some rosettes, some stars, some just different designs. Here I started to add some blue and realized that my bag was a little bit further past my tip, so then I went back and had to cut my bag a little bit, but I still like the way that looked, so I left those first couple there. Now I'm adding some pink, and I'm just trying to cover any of those open gaps, not trying to make it too full, but want to make it look nice and full. And with that, I think it's just about done, just a couple to go. And now I'm going back in and I'm adding some pieces of Easter candy that are in foil along the top of the cake, along the outside. Add a little bit more color and festivities to the top of the cake. Last thing here is I'm going to write Happy Easter in pink on the top of the cake. And once I have that written on the cake, I like to highlight the ends of each letter with an extra dot with the icing. I always like the way that looks, so you'll see me do that once I get the letters onto the cake. Here I am adding those dots. And the very last thing I'm going to do here is I want to add one last piece to the top, and that's just a little Easter egg piece of candy. And with that, that finishes the cake, and this is what it looks like. I do thank you for coming and joining to watch this video. If you enjoyed this, I encourage you to like, comment, share, and I would love if you'd subscribe to my channel. Thank you again for watching.